All right, guys, we are going to, in this video, be deploying a smart contract to a live testnet. And this specific testnet is the Goerli testnet. Now, this is actually recommended by the Hardhat documentation here for the tutorial. And it is also in the official Ethereum documentation if you guys want to go ahead and check it out for viable test nets. And I think it actually links to it here. If you was there a link to it here? Oh yeah, you can learn. Yeah, here you go. So yeah, it's on this documentation, and it goes over like the different test nets and stuff that are available. Apparently, Robson's deprecated. I think that makes sense with some of the testing that's been going on for ETH 2.0. But yeah, this was actually the go-to testnet for a really long time. But yeah, so we're using the Goerli testnet, and then to point to the testnet, you're really just going to be doing that in the code, so you don't have to worry about that so much. The thing that you're going to want to think about is how do you get test ETH, because you need to use ETH to deploy the contract to the testnet. So you're going to go here to the Goerli.net site, and then, by the way, this is an awesome site. And in the .net site, you're going to go here to simple faucet. And then I already had this open, but either way, so you're going to go to the simple faucet, and then I recommend you setting up a brand new wallet, a wallet that you don't use for any other reason but to set up but to develop on, right? So just a test-based wallet. And in that wallet, what you're going to want to do is point that account to set up an account that points to the Goerli testnet, to this specific testnet. And it is an option that's available. You just have to be able to turn on the view to be able to see the accessible testnets, and Goerli will come up. Okay, so you set up an account that points to the Goerli testnet, and then once you've pointed to the Goerli testnet, grab the public address from that account that you set up, add it here, and then this will effectively allow you to mine for up to a ETH. And it will take a little bit of time because of the hashing rate, but it's really, really cool. It's like if you've ever had to get test ETH from like what is it, the ETH Karen or something like that. It's like the Karen ETH. Either way, you get put in like this like long list of people, and you only get like very, very small little increments of ETH. This as opposed to that, you have to mine the ETH, so you have to essentially be on here for a little bit. But you can click away, have this working in the background, and then it'll gradually mine up to an ETH for you if you're patient. It took me like a couple hours, but I eventually got a full ETH, a full test ETH. I should clarify, a full test ETH to utilize for the application. So that's key. And then the other thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to alchemy.com, and then alchemy.com is going to give you access to an API key. So sign up for an account. It's the initial tier is free, and in the first portal, once you sign up, you're going to see essentially it's going to be like a little kind of like an input box where you can just copy the line of text that's inside of it, and you're going to want to copy the one that has the Alchemy key inside of it, because we're gonna bring that back to our code, and effectively what you've done up until that point, you've generated test ETH, you've gotten an Alchemy API key, right? And this is the code that we're going to use to deploy the contract, and you also are going to want to get access to your test account from your test only wallet, right? You're going to want to get the private key from that test account. Okay, so and that's why I say make sure that it's just a test account, and that it's a wallet that does nothing else, that holds nothing else but just test, like that does nothing else but have a use for test and development, right? You want to keep your whatever, if you hold anything, you want to keep it separate, like your real world stuff, you want to keep it way separate from all this shit that we're doing here. Okay. But once you get that all set up, it's not that big of a deal. And it's actually pretty simple. So with that being said, I'll leave links to everything with instructions on how to do the setup in the description box below. And yeah, we're gonna run this. We're gonna run this baby. So either way, so this is actually in our this code here is going to go into our config file for the Hardhat config file that we set up earlier in the series, and we're just going to put all this stuff down here. Okay. So actually, yeah, so that's pretty much it. Now what I'm going to do is actually, I'm going to add my data value. So effectively, and I'm going to do this off screen, but all you have to do is the API key that you generated, add it here, and then from alchemy.com, right? And then add your private key here. Okay. And this is for the Goerli test account that you have on most likely on your MetaMask, and also this automatically populates here, right? So those data values, those keys will actually automatically populate here. So all you have to do is gather those keys and effectively just put them here, okay? Just put the private key here, and then the Alchemy API key here, okay? So do that. And I'll never, like, guys, just as a heads up, I know this is a test account, but I'll never message you about, like, hey, send me your private key or none of that bullshit, okay? I want to know nothing about that shit, okay? Okay, just a heads up. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so I got all that stuff. Okay, now I came down here. All right, now I'm down here. Just bear with me for a little bit. Just remember, I'm here in the code. So all I'm doing is just adding the Alchemy API key. Okay. So that's where I'm at. Okay. Okay, so now I've added. Okay, so now I've added that API key. Okay, so I added the API key that I got from the alchemy.com website. Now I'm going to add that private key here. Okay. All right, so I got it here. Okay. Oh. Okay. Cool. All right, so now that's all set up, and then I'll bring everything back up here in just a moment. Just got to verify that everything was that I set up everything right. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Okay, and then I'm going to bump out of there. Okay, so I set up that all I did off screen was set up that config file. Okay. All right. Okay, so now that I did that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to go to the documents. Okay, so we got test, and also, I mean, I gave you guys like a verbal description. So much of that stuff is actually just already on here. Okay, so let me see. So let's create a new directory. Okay, so now we're gonna once we now that we did all that stuff, I guess we're actually gonna reverse it here. I just realized that there's all this stuff like there's all this stuff on top of what I just told you guys. But this stuff should be pretty easy. So all right, let's read it. So once you're ready to share your dApp with other people, what you may want to do is deploy to a live network. This way, others can access an instance that's not running locally on your system. There's the Ethereum network that deals with real money, which is called mainnet, and then there are other live networks that don't deal with real money but do mimic the real world scenario, right? That's what we're doing with the Goerli testnet, and can be used as a shared staging environment. These are called testnets, and Ethereum has several, like Goerli and Supilio. We recommend you deploy your contracts to the Goerli testnet. At the software level, deploying to a testnet is the same as deploying to mainnet. The only difference in which network you connect to. Let's look into what to code to deploy your contracts using Ether.js would look like, how it would look like using Ether.js. The main concepts used are signer, contract factory, and contract, which we explained back in the testing section. There's nothing new that needs to be done when compared to testing, given that when you're testing your contracts, you're actually making a deployment to your development network. This makes the code very similar or the same. Yeah. So we test. So that's what's so crazy about. Oh, my back. That's what's so crazy about Hardhat, that you get a local test net. So you're able to test your code even without doing all this stuff, right? So you actually get two testing environments. You get the testing environment that you set up locally via Hardhat. So you get a local network, effectively. You get a local test net, and then you go and you can actually deploy that contract. You test it again, like you set up your automated tests. You test it locally, right? And then you could deploy it locally, and then you can also what was I gonna say? And then you can also do that with a external test net. So essentially you could build and test on your computer, and then you can build and test on an external network to prepare you for deployment on the real on the real Ethereum network, or on the real protocol. So pretty crazy stuff. Okay, so let's create a new directory scripts, mainnet. I should say mainnet. So let's create a new directory scripts inside the project roots directory and paste the following into a deploy.js file. Okay, so we're gonna create so it looks like you need to write this code is essentially necessary in order to be able to do the deployment. So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're going to go here to our terminal, and then we are going to create a new directory. Okay, and then I'll open so here's the live directory here. Okay, and we're going to essentially create a new folder. So we're going to call it what do we have to call it? Okay, so make directory. Should make this just a little bit wider. So make directory, and then scripts. Okay, and you should see scripts pop up here. Okay, there we go. And then we're gonna go into that directory, and then we're gonna now that we're in the scripts directory here, we're going to create a file. And I'm literally just reading this stuff here, this line here. And we're going to create a file by the name of deploy.js. Okay. And paste the following into the deploy.js. Okay, so we're going to copy this code here. And then we're going to go to our deploy.js file, paste it here. So all we did is literally copy that code. So it looks like it gets the deployer's address. So it's going to get our local address from where we're deploying from. Okay. And then it's also going, and I my guess is probably going to be reading it from this hardhat.config file. So it's going to get that deployer address. Then it's going to get the balance. And then ethers get contract token. And then it's going to actually deploy the token, which is what we set up in our Solidity file here, right? Okay, and then yeah, this looks like it's just like some error handling, and then it's gonna kill it. Okay, well, it's gonna kill it, and then it catches any errors. Okay, so it says to indicate Hardhat to connect to a specific data network running any task, you can use the network parameter. Yeah, so I thought in case running without the network parameter would get the code to run against an embedded instance of Hardhat network, so the deployment actually gets lost when Hardhat finishes running, but it's still useful to test that our deployment works. Okay. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So you can run it without this -- network, but it's gonna deploy it locally, and we want to deploy it to what's his name, to Goerli, right? So okay, so this just kind of gives you a description of, hey, look, this is, if you run it without this network tab, you're gonna deploy it locally, which is what it says here. Parameter would get, so in the case running it without the -- network parameter would get the code to run against an embedded instance of Hardhat network, right? But we wanted to deploy it, we want to deploy it to an external network, which is the Goerli, or the Goerli, excuse me, testnet. So what we're going to do is we're going to say, we're going to pop out of the scripts. Okay, and then we're gonna go back to our home tutorial. So we're here, okay, and we're gonna write this command here, which is gonna be and we could copy it, but I'll write it just for the sake of it. So npx, no, let's just copy it. It's gonna be easier. Okay, so I'm gonna copy it here, drop it there. Okay, so all I did was essentially say, hey, and I want to deploy the contract we just wrote. We've effectively, theoretically, we've tested it and everything. It's good to go, and we've deployed it locally and it worked. Now all we want to do is deploy it to an external network, and then this is going to be the Goerli test network. Okay, so there's that. We're going to hit enter. Network Goerli doesn't exist. For info, Hardhat or run Hardhat show stack traces. npx Hardhat run scripts, deploy -- network Goerli. So it is telling me that the network doesn't exist, and I do not know why that is. So npx Hardhat, let's go here. Okay, so select you are trying to run Hardhat with a non-existent network. Read the documentation on how to define custom networks. There are two kinds of networks built in Hardhat. Okay, so I think it might have to do with the Hardhat config. So I'm going to sanitize this the Hardhat config file so we can take a look at it. Okay, so let me see here. Give me just 1 second. I'm gonna kill that. Okay, now I'm gonna bring it back up. Okay, so we are pointing to Goerli. Okay. And it's telling me that the Goerli network doesn't exist, but there's nothing really there to tell me that it wouldn't exist. Huh. So it says so we're pointing to it correctly there. I mean, I think unless we're missing a piece of code. So let's go back here. So, oh, I should take that off. Shiitake mushrooms. We might not be able to get it on this one because we're kind of running on time here. But we'll take a last look here. So, require nomic labs, Hardhat waffle -- type import config. I mean, this might be crazy, guys, but I think it might be this type here. So if we were to wipe that out, let me see. So to deploy to a remote network such as mainnet or any testnet, you need to add a network entry to your hardhat.config.js. we'll use Goerli for this example, but you can add a network similarly. Okay, yeah, so ETH Goerli API v2. Okay, so it already gives you the endpoint that you need to be pointing to. I just don't know if I guess I don't know if I set that up properly. So networks, and then the Goerli, and then it has like a property, and then URL accounts. Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's set up properly. It might have been that type there, but I don't know. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm gonna bring this down one more time. I'm just gonna add the necessary data to it, and then we're going to give it another run here. Okay, yeah. So that's, I mean, it's a little annoying, but I think we'll get it in the next video if we can't get it in this one. Okay, so let's see here. And remember, all I'm adding is this this key and then this private key. Okay. Okay, so there's the Alchemy key. There's the private key. Okay, it is on there now. Okay, now we're going to click out of the config file. All right, guys. I'm just trying to see if that was actually written correctly, but yeah, it looks like it is. Let me see, network Goerli. Yeah, so I think Goerli is actually misspelled here. Watch it just be Goerli like this. Let's see, npx hardhat run scripts deploy js -- Goerli. Let's do npx hardhat specify test network on deployment. Oh, npx hard. Okay, so deploying to live unauthorized error when let me see. Yeah, this is just the stuff we're looking at pretty much. We're actually here. Darn it, man. I really wanted to get it to work. Okay. All right, we're at the 22-minute mark. Okay, we'll leave it here. We're gonna figure out why it's not allowing us to access the Goerli test network. Once we get that all sorted, then we will move on and finish out the tutorial. All right, guys. Thank you guys for riding along on this one. I appreciate you. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.